Ciao a tutti e benvenuti a questo caffè con Traci e Franci, il caffè che sta diventando un giro del mondo alla scoperta delle persone che si occupano di analisi del comportamento applicata. Io sono qui in macchina in mezzo al nulla e Traci mi sta chiamando dal Texas con Diana e con Rita, che oggi vorremmo si presentassero per poi vedere di che cosa parlare in questo caffè in cui informalmente scopriamo il mondo dell'ABA. I'm saying that in an informal way we are discovering the ABBA world.
Well, I'm very glad that you did the translation because I wasn't paying attention. I was pouring the coffee.
So
I was very concerned that Diana and Rita had a coffee for our coffee time. So, as you briefly introduced them, we're joined by two friends in my house, Rita Olla and Diana Walker. And we thought we'd start today with them just doing a brief introduction about who they are, what they do, and what brings them to our coffee with us today.
Hello, how is everyone? My name is Diana Walker, and I'm a behavior analyst. I work with adults with disabilities, including autism and other intellectual developmental disabilities. But I have a pretty long background in basic behavioral research with pigeons and squirrel monkeys and humans. Lots of experience doing research on drugs. And I really like working with, I just really kind of recently started working with humans, and it's really interesting, and it's taught me a lot about behavior and about how not to do applied behavior analysis.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Rita. I'm Italian actually, surrounded by Americans. But the reason this is the story is because I am actually attending a PhD program at University of Nevada, Reno. I'm not a clinician, but I'm interested in using the knowledge coming from behavior analysis to apply to social issues, including problems with the environment, nature, how to manage better communities. And if you're wondering what part of Italy I come from, because I guess you are kind of curious, I would be, by the way. I actually come from Sardinia, especially Cagliari, so the south of Sardinia. And I guess if you're Italian, you know how beautiful it's my island. Not so much populated, but full of nature, still not used too much by humans. Our sea and our beaches are long and unfortunately not so much populated because of this current situation, but it's so good and bad coming from the use of humans of the nature.
So now I have like 100 of questions. So how can you love basic research? Because I always, I have never met someone who make basic research in behavior. So tell me why you start and how to motivate people to make basic research.
Well, you know me, and you know I'm doing some basic research more recently, but
I don't want to. I cannot see you in that way. I only you your half part of applied one.
I'll send you some papers you won't read.
No, I prefer to think half Traci.
Okay, well, Diana, tell us more.
Well, thank you for asking. I started doing basic research in a pretty easy way. I was an undergraduate at the University of Florida, and I took a class with one of Mark Branch's doctoral students, and Mark Branch is a world-famous, wonderful human, but also a behavior analyst. And I thought, this is totally cool, all this stuff, this research is great. I always wanted to be a psychologist and a scientist, and I realized I can kind of do those things with behavior analysis. And so when I took those classes, I decided I wanted to be a behavior analyst and stay there and work with Mark Branch. And so it was all set up for me. I walk into the lab, and here's a study you need to do, and you need to program your operant conditioning chamber. This was in 1990 when I started graduate school, and I had no idea what to do. Luckily, there was a guy there who didn't really feel like doing any work, so he taught me how to computer program, and I programmed a delayed reinforcement experiment so that I could examine the effects of cocaine on behavior maintained by delayed reinforcement. And one of the reasons is cocaine enhances the efficacy of conditioned reinforcers, which if you think about it, cocaine can really make your life a lot better. Unfortunately, in the moment, in the long term, it's not so great.
So like when you say it enhances the effects of conditioned reinforcers, you mean like if you were to take cocaine, then everything that is a reinforcer for you through your learning history becomes even stronger in the moment?
Right. That was a theory back then. Not everything, but conditioned reinforcement specifically.
Interesting.
And so we were signaling the delays to reinforcement and wondering if cocaine might increase the efficacy of a signaled delayed reinforcement versus non-delayed.
Mm-hmm. So if you knew that it was going to take a little bit longer to get to your reinforcer, if there's a signal like it telling you that it was going to be longer. Cool.
Right.
What did you guys find out?
We found out that the data were not as clear as we would like, which
leads you to the next study, right?
It's a great lesson to learn in behavior analysis, that sometimes the story that you are trying to tell, whether it's one way or the other, doesn't become very clear. And then you have to do multiple other experiments, which is pretty easy if you have a grant and a lot of pigeons running around, but it becomes more difficult with humans.
So when you start to study behavior, you are not like, I want to save the world, I want to work with children. It was not your first idea of your future.
What I really wanted to do was either be a cancer researcher, do some sort of psychology, so to help people, to kind of save the world one person at a time. And then I realized I could do that, both of those things, not at the same time in behavior analysis. So like do basic research and also maybe some applied. But I've learned now that you can actually do both at the same time.
That's my. And do you think it's useful to have I am imagining that in my study I miss I feel I miss something because I never work in basic research. So maybe in the future when we can plan a perfect behavior analyst, maybe in every study course it could be important to have basic research program. In your university there is always basic research program.
Yeah, we have a university in North Texas, not at every university in the US, but maybe Rita can speak a little bit about her experience at the University of Nevada, Reno, because she is in a PhD program that has both basic research classes focused on experimental analysis of behavior, experimental analysis lab, and also behavior. So maybe just to
Diana, che illustrando in Parlamento il rapporto annuale della.
Or we could have a dance party.
Oh, sorry. I am here.
At the University of Nevada, Reno, there are some students that are interested in basic research. We have 2 animal labs with pigeons, if I'm not wrong, and also mice. And I have a colleague that just recently graduated from a dissertation on the effect of the use of caffeine on the behavior. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you much about her study, but there is an entire branch of behavior analysis that try to understand also the relationship between the substance consumption, as Diana did, and the behavior. Not we are saying that the substance control the behavior, but it's part of the environment, part of the condition in which we all behave. So it's important to know that. And also we have at UNR we have the applied side that mainly there are kind of 3 areas. One managed by Ramona Humanfar that is more mainly interested in the application of behavior analysis to organizations in a wide sense, social communities and also organizations. Then we have programs for adults with disabilities and also programs for kids with autism, which is managed they were measured by Larry Williams and Pat Casey. And basically this is how we work. And Matt Luan is the guy, mainly Matthew Luan and Matt Losey are the one who measure basic researchers. And I'm going to
And Matt Losey actually trained with Mark Branch too, after I got there. He's a lot younger than me.
The University of Florida has a long lineage of behavior analysts that have found their ways to multiple universities here. So where Diana studied, where Rita is studying, both have folks from the University of Florida, but so does the University of North Texas. So we have several alumni from the University of Florida program teaching here as professors too.
Ah, ok, ho capito.
It's a slow gator chomp.
We don't
Because
gator, no,
drinking some coffee.
I don't gator chomp because I went to the Ohio State University. So we have a little bit of a sports rivalry here too. So.
Okay, and my question, we can raise our hand. Do you think is like in every curriculum we need basic research or not?
So raise our hand for yes.
Yeah. Okay, but so I have to work here because there are never. My professor Silvia Perini, she did basic research, but I'm so outside from university. Diana is inside the university.
No.
Well, I teach part-time at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. I used to be the department chair, but yeah, so I still teach with them, but my main job is doing applied stuff with humans.
So now you're applied. That maybe I'm the only without basic research in my background because I'm outside the university, and now it's hard for me to.
And I would say this, Francesca, people always say, oh, we have to have basic research in a behavior analysis program, but I would argue that we also need human experience with human research.
Right.
Because there are a lot of basic behavior analysts that they really do need to know how to interact with people, and sometimes they have a hard time. And I do think that it really shouldn't be, oh, that you have a deficit because you haven't done basic research, because the basic researchers who haven't done human research or applied work also have a deficit. Mm-hmm. I really think that you have to see it in action in the world.
Yeah, I think
to get a good picture.
The best of conditions are if you can have some experience doing both, so that you can see the different research strategies and tactics that are used in each, to see the different problems that each group are trying to solve in different areas. But even if you don't have the experience working directly with humans or working directly with non-humans, you can still benefit from learning about the research, learning about the questions, and also talking with each other. One of the things that I really like about thinking about basic research is that it allows me to go back and look at problems where I may not necessarily be able to change the variables in an easy way for whatever reason. Maybe it's an ethical concern, maybe it's just in terms of having control of the environment in a certain way, and I can get some information about how I might design something better out in the community or in working with an individual human instead of a non-human, but also, in many situations, like we have a lab here at UNT that works with non-humans, but they are working primarily with dogs, and dogs have owners. And
we have one here.
We have a dog here. This is me. Yeah. But, a lot of times people will, what I understand from their work is that people will say, oh, my dog's having problem behavior. My dog barks at other dogs, or my dog is not friendly with the other dogs as they're walking, or something like that. But there's still an interaction between the human and the dog. And so both repertoires actually need to change. So there are unique situations where you can, take what is more traditionally thought about as basic research working with non-humans, but it's in an applied situation. So you have the best of both.
sorry you make like every day. That's why I hate you. Always thinking, because when I start my PhD, I make basic research, but not in behavior analysis. I make basic research with neuroni specchio. How can I translate? Mirror
neurons.
Yes, they are really important. I work with Rizzolatti. I was in his team, and we have monkeys. But I was not important. It was like the last one, and we work with monkey, and we have to open their brain and to put inside something to measure if neurons are giving energy when we are in front of monkeys.
And yeah.
And it seems to me that it was so far from what I love to change the world, to stay in the world. That's why maybe I don't like basic research, but because I never did behavioral basic research. And now listening to you, I am changing my idea of what basic research means to me.
So earlier we were talking, before we started recording, we were talking about a new program that you're running with Tice, where you're doing some therapy interaction sessions outside. I'm curious as to what Diana and Rita might suggest could be some basic research that could, I don't know.
Yes, now I can.
That could inform, or maybe if you tell us about...
maybe you can imagine a child with problem behavior or HD or attention deficit hyperactive disorder working inside or outside, and there are some research that tell us, not behavioral one, some research that tell us that it's better to stay outside because you feel better, less problem behavior and so on. Some basic research. What can we do? The next PhD.
Your next PhD, like you need 3. She's in her second PhD program now. So I'm thinking, one of the areas that I know about with respect to behavior analysis in ADHD is Nancy Neef's work. Nancy Neef did some really interesting, more translational research, so not necessarily purely basic or purely applied, but she took a concept about self-control, a little bit almost related to what Diana was talking about with cocaine earlier, where when given the choice between a smaller sooner or a larger later outcome, which one do you choose? And what Nancy thought about when she was reading the work in the basic literature was that had very big implications for individuals with attention deficit ADHD. I'll get there.
Yeah.
And so what she started to do was to do some translational research. She was working with kids. They had ADHD, and there was some benefit for them, but the idea of the research was largely to understand how you might change different dimensions of a reinforcer. So the rate at which it's delivered, the magnitude or the size of it, how soon or how delayed the delivery is, as well as the effort required to achieve that outcome. And through manipulating those variables, she did a very important study where she looked at how children with ADHD responded on academic tasks, those who were taking medication for the ADHD and those who had a behavioral intervention. And she found that the behavioral interventions were just as effective in some cases and even more effective in other cases than the medication was. So she found basically something that had very important implications for the work that we do, in that we can design behavioral interventions to help children with ADHD to be able to respond better on academic tasks without medication.
Yes, you are inspiring me, but not completely, because give me some more. This is my brother, if you see here. So we are all crazy. And more ideas, what I can, basic research about nature and children. What can I look at? Or adolescents.
Stimulus control?
I don't know. It's hard for me to think about that these days, just because I mean, when you mentioned you wanted to maybe talk about nature, I was thinking that would be nature as a kind of I don't even think it's a motivating operation, but nature is a variable that is going to determine how well somebody responds or how well they might behave. So this, with the coronavirus going on, my clients are stuck in their group home with a couple people that they live with that they didn't choose to live with, a bunch of staff that they don't really want to work with. And I just think as a variable, just getting outside can change the contingencies. So it can change the way that maybe if you ask them to do something while they've been sitting inside for 7 hours, they just want to punch you in the face. But if you take them outside and you ask them the exact same thing, maybe they're going to comply immediately, just because, and I don't want to be mentalistic about it, and we don't have to be, but you feel better, you go outside, maybe you feel better. It ultimately probably comes down to an MO, or something to that effect. So we don't have to be mentalistic and talk about mood, but if you haven't been outside in 7 hours, going outside can produce just an immediate change in irritability, things like that. So I think it would be awesome to do a study like that. I mean, here in Texas, it's going to be 100 or so.
I'm sorry because I every time someone have an idea I haven't think about, I'm sorry. So now you can see my face because I it's the first time. No, not the first time, but you have an idea, I have not think this idea, and so I am sad. But I can understand, and really thank you, because you inspire me. Okay, stop. Just to say that a little bit I hate you too, but a little bit.
No, I think you love all of us because it gives you different things to think about. That's why we have these coffees every week. Every time we talk to someone new, we think about 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 more ideas even. So, no. Thinking about how outside or what sort of behavioral mechanism might be in play there, it could, I mean, obviously, if you're stuck inside for 7 hours, then being outside could have increased value as a reinforcer. So MO would fit there well. I think also, though, outside's a different environment than inside. So there's a whole different network of contingencies that are possible to select different behaviors. I remember when I was working one-on-one with kids a while back in schools, we would oftentimes have our sessions outside because we were near the playgrounds. We had the swings and the slide, and so we do a couple of things and then go play on the playground because that was a bigger reinforcer, more effective reinforcer in those situations than what we had available inside.
And you could run taking turns and being polite and social distancing.
Right. Yes.
So the idea, now everyone in Italy is interested in it outside also because of the COVID. So now, as I told you, the bigger newspaper in Italy called me, please tell us about to make psychology outside, the school outside, everything outside. But when I look at the research on the web, only the regeneration is the word most used. I don't know, Rita, rigenerazione. L'unico costrutto che si trova se tu metti natura, apprendimento è il concetto di rigenerazione. Non c'è niente di operativo e di applicativo. If you want to translate.
Yeah, Francesca said that when you Google to look at something related with nature, the only word that is used is a regeneration, something that can be generate again, but this concept that doesn't have any operational definition. It's I think it's a kind of a mentalistic approach, which is understandable because sometimes make conversation between fields, between humans easier. But as behavioral analysts, we can try to figure out what we want to do to get by doing some that is regenerative. In this case, I'm going to ask you what people, maybe what we can ask people what they would expect. In the end, we need to match our suggestions, our ideas with what humans, other people would expect. at least. And of course, we can direct their preferences in the future by little nudge, little suggestions. But I would start. My question would be for you would be what they think when someone talk about regeneration. What would they expect? Be a new human being, or I don't know.
I don't,
Kind of like
I don't know either, because when I check the literature about stay outside, what people measure, what researchers are interested in, the major paper in Europe, because I check in Europe, is the greening to transform a school and in greening place more green, and how affect the regeneration, the attention.
Well, it's a kind of what Diana was saying that.
But yes, for the first time when Diana speak, I can see. When I only read regeneration, I can see nothing. Now I'm looking that we can measure something, and in an applied way, and also in a basic way, maybe.
Yeah, I think the thing I really like Rita's question about what they expect the outcomes to be, because simply moving someone from one environment to another environment may produce a change in repertoire. But that change in repertoire can be boosted or sustained or reorganized based on the additional contingencies. So it can't just stop at inside or outside. There still would need to be some contingency analysis, teaching, thinking about what sorts of ways you would organize the environment, whether inside or outside, to produce the best outcomes for the kids or adults.
My question for you, Francesca, given that you did this search on the web, those kind of a study would expect the people to behave differently, for example, in terms of recycling, in terms of respecting the nature. I'm telling you because there is a Facebook group from Sardinian people that are very concerned, among other things, about people leaving the butts of their cigarettes in their shorts on the beaches. And so when you want to be greener, or you want to, what would you expect? People using the hash spray or what? By the way, now in Sardinia it's become forbidden to smoke on our beaches. It's just a recent change. So again, regeneration is a kind of a nice idea, but as a behavioral analyst, we want to address what the people expect and what we want them to do.
Yeah, see, yes. When I start the project, Tracy know my way to work. I have an idea. I don't know why. Like I'm an innovator. I really don't know why. I have an idea. Work outside. We need to be psychology outside. I make the idea, and after I make the research. It's not a really perfect way to create new things. But now with your, I'm thinking. But Rita. La tua domanda è, cioè tu pensi che se io li faccio lavorare fuori posso anche generare come outcomes il fatto che loro rispettano di più la natura? Posso anche misurare questo come outcome secondario?
Beh, a me farebbe molto piacere che tu facessi questo, perché la natura, the nature can be something that make us feel better, as Diana said, as Tracy said, because the sun, the air, a wider environment. However, I want human beings to respect the nature, animals, the trees, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a study down the road, because maybe doing the psychology outside, maybe that would just increase naturally.
Yeah, just to bring your own person in a more direct connection
Right.
with the larger environment and nature around you, to see that when I step on the grass, it folds down. When I move my foot, it comes up. If this stays here, the grass turns brown. If we move it, the grass keeps growing. Just to see that human nature interaction even.
And I wanted to say something too. I like to relate, behavioral stuff to other fields. And I recently, not too long ago, went to the Architecture Museum in Chicago.
Yeah, I was there
and
too.
Tracy was there too. And one of the things we saw was that people are trying to build buildings in big cities that incorporate green space.
Mm-hmm.
So they might have a park on top of the building, or on the 95th floor, or on the 32nd floor, and because it makes things better. And so that's not very scientific coming from me, but I think there's probably articles in architecture research magazines that talk about this.
Well, yeah, and in city planning.
It's completely true. The greening, the concept of greening in ambienti, it's from architecture. Completely. And Tracy, I promise last intervention, but because it's more than 20 minutes we talk. The girl who is making the PhD about the green, I don't know, the agriculture PhD, I don't know the name, un dottorato in scienze agrarie. She's studying how the flower stay better if adolescents talk with the flowers.
There's a whole line of research about talking to your plants or playing music to your plants and some other things. I'm not very familiar with that research, but I think it's interesting because it's really taking a nurturing role. It's looking at how humans are interacting with the plants and how that affects plant growth, and taking that idea and kind of flipping it the other way, and looking at how humans interact with nature and nature interacts with humans. And how that
outside learn unit. In an outside learn unit, I like not teacher and human, but human and albero, human and albero. The slow learn unit in the world. I say you something after 10 years you grow up.
Well, I think there are a lot of different directions we could go in those areas, and I think one of the themes that I hear kind of coming from all of this is how do we kind of rekindle our connection with nature, so that we have a better respect for the planet, and for thinking about the impact of many of the behaviors that we have on changing the planet, which is incredibly important as we start to think also about climate change too. So.
Girls, really, really thank you. Next Giovedì, can you connect one more time to talk about green or other things?
Me?
Yeah, do you want to join us?
We have always to coffee.
Yeah, no, I will be back in Torino, but I'm available. It's fine. I can if you like.
Yeah.
Yes, we want you one more time.
Can you come back too?
Me too?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
You
make me love Sardinia and basic research. So Tracy, allora ci vediamo al prossimo caffè con Tracy, tutte e tre insieme, anche se saremo in luoghi diversi. Tracy, send me their name, perfect, so I can put on Facebook.
I will.
I love you and see you next week. Ciao a tutti.
Ciao. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.